Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
I feel amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
Sometimes we cover a story that just makes you go, wow. You don't want to miss this one.
Well, the boat sank.
Easton Barrett and his buddies cling to 5 coolers to stay afloat. They were stranded in the middle of nowhere.
Love y'all.
The group had left a dock off the coast of Mississippi early in the morning for a fishing tournament.
The Mary Walker Marina Snapper Showdown. We were planning on catching red snapper and cobia and mangrove snapper. That was what the tournament was for. That was the plan for the day. But
It was a good plan at first.
It was a good plan. It ended up not being good.
4 hours into the excursion, their boat sank.
How did it sink?
That we have no idea.
We've racked our brains about it.
Multiple times.
We've talked about, I think every day the 5 of us that are on the boat have talked at least at some point every day since it sunk and thrown ideas out about what could have happened. But in all reality, we really don't know because, and I've said this in talking with other people as well, is like everything was going great until the second it wasn't going great. From that second that we realized something was wrong, we've been saying a minute, but I think a minute is exaggerated on the long side. Within 45 seconds, the boat was gone.
Completely
Gone, underwater, nothing left.
There was nothing on the boat. We was thinking about maybe we get to it, and the boat just wasn't there. Nothing we could do.
As soon as you realized the boat was sinking, you said you had about 45 seconds to make quick decisions. How did you make those decisions on what to do so quickly?
Everybody on the boat are all pretty experienced offshore fishermen. Well, us 5 particularly had not all fished together. So we talked about the night before, we had a yellow waterproof bag. This has the EPIRB in it or the personal locator beacon. This has that in it. It's got some first aid stuff. This is where the flares are. This is where the life vests are. Kind of went over that stuff. We don't always do that, but on this trip particularly, we had a different group of people that did not fish together. So we went over those things. And from the time we realized there was something wrong until the time that, in that 45 seconds, we turned around and realized the motors were going under. And immediately, I don't even remember who, everybody was screaming, where are the life vests, where are the flares, get the life vests. We weren't able to get our flares. That's a problem we had. We had them on the boat. We knew exactly where they were. We couldn't get the compartment open to them, I guess because of the air suction or something. We threw the life vest in the water and we gathered up coolers and stuff. Or holding on to that. As the boat literally disappeared out of sight, he was standing on top of it holding the PLB in his hand, pressing the button.
Grab the coolers. How did you know to hold on to them that they would float in the water?
Well, really and truly, we didn't know. They came up out of the water off the boat, and we knew, hey, they got food and they got water in them, because if we're out here for days or however long we was going to be out there for, we was being prepared to be out there for a while. So it's and it actually came great because the coolers did become a flotation device for us, because the life jackets, they were great, but they only lasted for so long. So it was all of us just say, hey, grab the coolers and use them for a flotation device, because they did come up, and we just all hung on to each other, held on to the coolers, and hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Another thought we had was, as far as grabbing the coolers and everything, we all said, grab everything you see floating. We need to be as visible as we can be. So we wanted to have as much stuff floating around us to make it to where someone may see us. If it's just 5 people bobbing in the water in 3 to 4 to 5 foot seas, you can't see that. When you see multiple ice chests floating and cushions floating, it could grab your attention. And that was another thought we had was, get as much crap as we can get gathered around us to where we're more visible.
What was going through your mind?
Oh God,
I don't know.
a lot of stuff.
I kept saying, I just want to see my wife. That's the one thing I kept saying constantly.
I mean, I think everybody out there was having different things going through their head at that time. That's why I did the video, the TikTok. It wasn't even meant to be a TikTok video. It was just a video to my mom and my loved ones, because I didn't know who was going to get saved. So that was my going through my thoughts. My thoughts is I want to go ahead and let them know what's going on, and if somebody does find it, hopefully they can return the phone back on in service, and they would have an idea of what happened, where we're at. Okay, boat went down. That gives some peace of mind to some people.
Love y'all.
How did you even have your phone to be able to record a video?
Usually I keep my phone on the center console part, and that day I was going to record video going out and fish and stuff like that, so I just stuck my phone in my pocket and didn't think anything about it. So I have it there. Well, when the boat went down, everybody's phone's on there except mine. I mean, I had mine in my pocket. Didn't even realize I had it in my pocket. When I went down, I just started patting my pockets to make sure I had my knife with me, make sure I had everything I needed that possibly I could. And I found my phone in my pocket, so I grabbed it up out of the water, shook it out, and just kept it held up out of the water as long as I could, because it didn't have service, but also had battery. And we knew one time we're going to float somewhere, and somebody's going to have self-service on an old rig or anywhere. They're going to have service, and I can click on there and be able to make a distress call. I tried calling 911 for about 4 times. Nothing happened. I've called my loved ones. I called my girlfriend. I called anybody and everybody I could think about to get service, or hopefully somebody answers. So it's like one of those things. I'm not letting go of the phone, not until last minute or whatever I can to keep it there. And we're also using it for a signal for the sun shining, and hopefully somebody come close, I can shine the light in their eyes and get their attention. Not made for that, but I was using it for that in the survival scenario.
What were you doing for 4 hours in the water out at sea?
We was partying. We was just hopefully that somebody could come by and see us.
Yeah, we had a lot of ups and downs in that 4 to 4.5 hours. We would see boats, and we'd get hopeful that we were drifting towards them, and then they'd drive off from where they're fishing at. Well, then your hopes go down again, and then we didn't necessarily know that our locator beacon was working. And about 2.5 hours into the floating experience, we spotted a Coast Guard boat. That gave us hope. They passed us probably 2 miles north of us. We watched them. They went out of sight. Then they passed us again, going back towards where they came from, and that was a little bit of letdown, thinking, okay, well, they went and looked, and now they're headed back. And then when we saw them the third time, we all got a little more, felt a little better, because we're thinking at that point, okay, they're probably doing some kind of grid search, and they're going to eventually find us. And then the fourth time, that was a major letdown, because that had been, we had been seeing them for 2 hours at that point, and they went out of sight again. They passed us the fifth time, headed back towards the west, and when they turned around, their bow of their boat was pointed straight at us. And we just tried to stay calm and not freak out yet, because we knew they had not seen us yet, but they started coming towards us. And then eventually they got up on plane, and we saw one of them on the bow waving his arm, and we were, at that point we knew we were good.
Get in on the boat.
When you saw the Coast Guard coming towards you, what were you doing in the water to get their attention?
We had screamed and freaked out and yelled and everything one previous time when they were passing us, and we all got out of breath, started cramping, got very tired on one of the previous passes. So we all actually said, let's not exert ourselves yet. Let's let them get really close, and then we'll try to get their attention. And we actually had a 165 quart igloo cooler, and we took it and we stood it straight up in the water, and it made about a 3 foot tall, 2.5 to 3 foot tall white block. And they actually saw the cooler, and they didn't see us till they were like 100 yards from us. Then they saw us too, but they were coming to check out the cooler, which ultimately that's what led them to see us, thankfully.
In the hours they were in the water, they drifted several miles. This dot shows where they sank, and this one where they were found. And this is the device that helped save their lives by alerting the Coast Guard.
It's made by a company called ACR Artex. It's a personal locator beacon. And when you register the device, you register like someone that's going to be on shore, like your mom or your dad or whoever. And then you also register it to the Coast Guard. And once you press the button on this device, it is telling whoever the person you registered it to, as well as the Coast Guard, that you're in distress. You don't press it for games. You press it when you mean it. And thank goodness, Coast Guard got the alert. They jumped on. They were on the way.
One of the fisherman's girlfriends had texted her mother that morning, reminding her that she was the emergency contact. So if the Coast Guard calls, you better answer it, the text read at 9:25 in the morning. At 9:27, the phone rang. It was the Coast Guard.
I mean, you can take it how you want to, but that was God at work. I mean, there's no way around that. She had a feeling, and she got that feeling for some reason, and I don't know.
It's crazy.
It gives you chills thinking about it.
When you were rescued by the Coast Guard, what was your reaction?
We all cried.
We all cried. Everybody did.
We knew that we was going home to see our loved ones again.
Whenever we knew they spotted us, I was tired at that point. But once I knew they spotted us and that boat was sitting there in front of us, just hovering around, getting in position to get us out of the water, I could have stayed in the water 24 hours at that point. I didn't feel anything. I was like in shock that we were getting out of the water. It was a weird feeling. Like I just immediately got untired. Once I got on the deck of the Coast Guard boat, I sat there and, I processed, did that really just happen? I just felt, we were saved. It was a crazy feeling. Not many times you just get your life saved, but we actually, the Coast Guard deserves all the credit.
How were you feeling physically afterwards?
Sore.
A little bit of cramping.
Got back on the boat, couldn't do nothing but sit down and drink water. Being in the water for 4.5 hours, everybody out there can agree that you're dehydrated. People think, well, you're in the water, you can't be you're dehydrated because you're constantly moving your legs and salt water. You're cold, your body temperature is 98.6, whatever it is, and then the water was 80-something degrees, so everybody's shaking, cold.
Did you eat the food in the cooler and the ice to stay hydrated?
We had waters in the cooler, one of the coolers, and we had one guy open the cooler and two guys on the other side to keep everything in there as much as we could, just to grab out 2 bottles of water. And we didn't know how long we was going to stay out there because there was a whole case of water. So we didn't know if we were going to get saved today or tomorrow. So it was kind of like rationing, trying to come up with a plan of if we don't get found anytime soon. So we grabbed 2 bottles of water, and we just shared 2 bottles of water to stay hydrated as much as we possibly could. The food, we was going to save it, and, just in case if worse comes worse, wash up on an island somewhere, at least we have something to eat.
Did you think you were going to be rescued?
We had no idea. We kept telling ourselves,
They're coming.
We've got food, we've got water, we believe the EPIRB is working, which we actually figured out was a personal locator beacon. We believe it's working, it's flashing green, and it's got a strobe light going, and we've got stuff to float on, and we're all together. We kept saying those things. Every time we get in doubt or get down or someone will start thinking, we're not going to make it, we would all start talking about the positives that we had. EPIRB, life jackets, food, water, coolers to float on. We kept saying those things.
No bueno. Love y'all.
What's your advice to anyone who goes out on the water fishing like you or on an excursion moving forward?
I've fished offshore every year of my life since I was 5 and I'm 30 now. I'd say 20 plus years of experience of doing it. And never once before this trip did I have one of those devices. I've got friends that have them. I've got friends that talk about them, but I've not had any friends that had to use them. And thank God we had it, because it was rough and no one would have found us until dark. No one would have looked for us till dark, and the water was cold.
Get an EPIRB or a personal locating device and get the proper life jackets. Not just a life jacket that you can spin out on the lake or river, a actual Coast Guard proof reflective life jacket.
I'd like people to understand that we didn't do everything right, but we did just enough right to save our lives. And there's a lot we could have done a lot better. And I really want that message to go to boaters and them to know that we didn't do anything to cause the boat to sink. We don't know why it sunk, but what we want people to know is that it can happen to anybody, and you're not going to expect it, but you need to be prepared for it. We didn't have our flares in a reachable spot. They were in a compartment that ended up being airtight. You know, I'd recommend to people to, you know, maybe strap your flares to your T-top. Put them somewhere where you can grab them. If you've got an E-purpose, don't stick it down in the bottom like everybody does. Your life vest, people shove them down in the bottom of the hole. They shove their flares down in there. Then they put stuff where they can't get to. And we're lucky we were able to get our stuff out. But in the wrong situation where if you didn't think quick and say, okay, I know exactly where my life vests are and I can get them, they wouldn't have had life vests. They'd have been swimming. So that's what we want people to know, really, is be prepared. I mean, it's no joke out there.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I hope this helps save lives.
That's all we're doing this for. We're not doing this for fame, glory. We're doing this to save other people's lives. That's all we're want to do, is to save as much lives as we possibly can, because God gave us another chance at it, and we're taking it to do everything we can to save lives.
Never again.
What's that moving around under the pool cover? The horse had fallen into the pool and fortunately was rescued before he could get into a serious jam.
We can turn raw sewage into drinking water in 24 hours.
When you flush the toilet, most hope to never see its contents again, especially in a glass of drinking water. But in Orange County, California, they're touting the benefits of toilet to tap. John Kennedy, general manager of the Orange County Water District, spoke to CBS News.
When you flush your toilet, you take a shower, you clean your clothes, wash the dishes, you're generating wastewater or sewage.
In this facility each day, 130 million gallons of potable water that would normally drain into the Pacific Ocean are purified in a 3-step process. It starts with microfiltration, then reverse osmosis, and finally, ultraviolet light. That purified water is added to the contents of the county's underground water basin, where it waits to flow out of someone's tap. And forget waiting for rainfall. In drought-prone areas like Southern California, officials say they had to tap into technology to meet the needs of residents.
There is no new water. What used to be toilet to tap is now a highly technical, highly treated source of water supply that exceeds every standard, has no health risks whatsoever.
It took more than a decade to develop the legal guidelines for using wastewater for drinking. Several American cities are recycling wastewater, but California and Colorado are the only states that have approved this process for its residents.
Hey, mama.
He was on vacation in Puerto Rico when a stray dog fell in love with him, and vice versa.
As soon as I parked, she ran right up to me. You gonna follow us around now? The only thing I had on me was a protein bar, so I gave her a piece of the protein bar. Got ourselves a little buddy. She wouldn't leave my side. A good half a mile she followed us.
Eddie and his girlfriend, Crystal, spent the entire day with the dog. They even gave her a name, Cece. Saying goodbye was really tough.
She followed us the whole way back to the car, chased the car down when we were leaving. I'll see you later. Unfortunately, I couldn't take her. Driving away was hard. It broke my heart, it really did, because that's probably the best day that puppy's had.
Eddie says he could not stop thinking about Cece.
Well, we're gonna keep looking.
The next day, he decided to go back and find her.
We came back for you.
He did. And that's when he made a big decision. He'd do everything he could to take Cece back home with him to Philadelphia. A local dog rescue organization helped.
Got her spayed, vetted, got all of her shots.
First, Cece was flown from Puerto Rico to Miami. Then she was driven all the way north to Philadelphia and her new home.
Come here, Cece.
They had a welcome party when Cece arrived. She has a new big brother now, a pit bull named Chooch. From stray to home sweet home, thanks to a guy from Philly named Eddie.
That's a good girl.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
A car is unlocked to rescue a baby.
You don't know who I am, and you don't care who I am.
Police say the infant's dad was inside a casino gambling. This is body camera video of the incident in Cleveland, Ohio. A couple was returning to their white SUV in a parking garage when they heard the baby making noise in the red car parked next to theirs. So they called 911.
Well, you guys just parked right next to it?
Well, we were here.
And you look and you're like, hold on. Did you hear it?
We weren't, this wasn't here when we parked.
The couple waited for police to arrive. First responders went into action to get the car open. Next was to find the parent.
We're going to go for the parent.
Well, I don't know which one's the parent. We just
Hey, guys, there's two with the car. Two with the car. The parent is the one I want. I want them both, but I want the parent.
Police entered the casino and found the dad.
Who's the father of the baby? Me. That's you? Cool. Yeah. You're under arrest right now for child endangerment. What are you thinking, leaving a baby in a car?
Arresting him on charges of child endangerment, allegedly leaving the baby in the car. He has pleaded not guilty.
What the heck's the difference?
A police officer is called upon to help a new mom buy food for her 1-week-old baby. In the middle of the night, police in Miami, Ohio say they got a frantic phone call from a new mom in need of some help. Her breast milk dried up and she needed food for her newborn. So at 3 a.m., the officer went in search of it at the grocery store. Naturally, most stores are closed at this hour, but he was persistent. Someone was inside and could help him. Finally, someone heard him banging on the glass and let him in.
That's one mighty bright light you got there.
You may not be able to help me. There is a mom who has, she said her milk dried up and she can't find anywhere to buy formula. Is there anywhere anybody in here can turn on a cash register?
I believe so.
Okay. He got to the formula aisle and settled on Similac, then got confused when he saw other similar options.
What the heck's the difference?
Someone in the store came to assist.
What else you need?
This is it. I just need formula. Yeah, she said she just doesn't have any formula and her breast milk is dried up. And her baby's a week old.
Yeah,
so
she had a bottle.
He then picked out a bottle for the baby and headed back to the mom with his purchase.
There's more Inside Edition streaming right here after this.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
I feel amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
What caught our attention today? This next story, and it will amaze you.
These people treaded water to survive. This was the terrifying moment in 2019 when a plane crash landed in the Pacific Ocean.
David just crashed into the ocean, engine failure.
Pilot David Lesh and his passenger made it out alive by climbing on the wing of the sinking plane.
There she goes.
As the aircraft sank, they gathered everything that would stay afloat.
So we're out here in the Pacific Ocean floating around. Got some homemade flotation devices here in the form of seat cushions and window shades. The water's a little bit cold, but we're all right. I set it down real easy.
No one got hurt.
Starting to get a little cold out here. Lots of jellyfish bobbing around.
It happened 9 miles off San Francisco. Flying above them was David's close friend, a fellow pilot, sending out Mayday calls to the Coast Guard.
I tried to record, the things that seemed important to the airplane, going down, the helicopter coming in, us out there starting to get cold. My life has definitely been a pretty crazy one, and we were sort of just appreciating, this being another insane thing that I've, has happened to me in my life.
David did a fantastic job putting the airplane in the water. I could not have done it better myself.
After the ordeal, the pair were thrilled to be alive. In 2016, a 61-year-old man struggled to stay alive after treading water for 20 hours.
I was thinking this is not going to be good because it's going to be dark here. The dehydration was so bad,
that it was starting to affect my body.
William Durden fell off his fishing boat without a life jacket. He was able to tread water off the coast of Florida because of his Navy training.
They teach you how to drown-proof yourself and what positions you need to be in to stay above the water.
I couldn't believe it when we found him. It was the odds were stacked against him, definitely, and when we found, like, it blew my mind away that he was still out there and able to even lift his arms and wave at us like he did.
William had a good attitude about the ordeal.
I was thinking, I'm so close to retiring at my present job, and I'm not going to get ripped off and die out here.
Afterward, Victoria Ricano tried to test her treading water skills.
Hasn't even been 10 minutes, and I'm already tired. What do I do to stay afloat?
You're gonna want to tread water and move your legs in a circular motion as if you're sitting in a chair. And they're gonna move as an egg beater, going together.
This is hard. It's not that easy to do.
With your hands, you're gonna want to scull and move them back and forth, pushing the water down. When you get tired, you can always lay back and do a back float. Keep breathing.
Okay.
Put your chest towards the sky.
Okay.
And spread out.
In 2022, a 28-year-old passenger vanished after leaving a bar on the Carnival cruise ship Valor. Whitney Gaines was on the ship and says the missing passenger's family desperately looked for him.
They had searched the entire ship until 3 o'clock in the morning.
As the cruise ship turned and retracted its path looking for the man, a Coast Guard search team spotted him 20 miles off the coast of Louisiana. He was struggling to keep his head above water.
He gave his last bit of energy to wave us down. He was waving what looked to be a sock or pants over his head as violently as he could. He was consistently dipping underwater for several seconds at a time, and we knew we didn't have but minutes, maybe seconds to spare.
James Grimes was hauled aboard a helicopter and taken to a hospital. Ann Mercogliano has more.
The big question now, how on earth did he survive all that time, and what lessons can we all learn from his ordeal?
Water survival expert Jim Spears, president of Stop Drowning Now, says your pants can save your life.
You would take them off, you would tie the legs, you would tie the legs in knots, just the very end. You put it behind your head, and you're gonna fling it. Nice.
It can become a makeshift flotation aid.
So this could save your life.
That could save your life.
I'm not doing any work here.
No.
It's doing the work for me.
Yeah. If you're treading water for a long period of time, the first thing you want to do is you want to move very slowly with your arms back and forth, a figure eight motion. Most people tread water like this, and that's going to tire you out.
Panic. Pure terror.
Passenger Sarah Kirby fell over her cabin's balcony in 2012. She was able to stay afloat for 90 minutes before she was rescued.
There she is. She's in the boat.
It's an absolute miracle. I shouldn't have survived.
In a statement about the most recent incident, Carnival Cruise Line expressed gratitude to the Coast Guard and added this warning: the only way to go overboard is to purposely climb up and over the safety barriers. In 2018, a passenger fell 15 stories off a cruise ship balcony into the pitch black sea while taking a selfie. She was on board the Norwegian Epic during rough seas when she plunged over. Fellow passengers could hear the 53-year-old woman screaming.
There goes the lifeboat. They're going out to look.
It just didn't seem like it was going to be possible to find that person or even find them alive.
The ship came to a halt and the rescue boat was sent out. By some miracle, she was found alive. She'd been in the waters off the Bahamas for over an hour.
Found the person in the water and she was picked up and she's now in the hospital, so everything is good there.
It was a simultaneous cheer just all around that people were relieved that she was found.
Megan Alexander found out how terrifying being alone in the middle of the ocean can be.
I have a little bit of light coming from our camera, but Sarah had nothing. Turn off the light. This is what she was dealing with. Pitch black for 2 hours.
The only way people can be spotted in the dark is with infrared binoculars. Here's with and then without them. Some ships are now equipped with infrared alarms that sense when a passenger goes overboard.
There goes the lifeboat.
Oh my God! Holy
In 2019, Nick Native jumped off a cruise while his friends roared with laughter.
Holy
They were vacationing on Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas when he leaped from the 11th floor deck into the water more than 100 feet below. He later admitted on Instagram that he was still drunk from the previous night. Officials on board the cruise ship did not appreciate the stunt.
We're getting kicked off the boat.
Royal Caribbean banned all of them for life. Nick later spoke to Inside Edition.
I remember hitting the water. The impact was pretty big because it was pretty high up, and it impacted my tailbone and my neck pretty hard, but luckily it wasn't anything serious. The previous night we were drinking quite a bit, so I was still feeling the effects of the alcohol. I hope I don't inspire anybody to do this because it is very dangerous. I mean, don't think this is a joke.
Holy And I've literally thought about it 100 million times, like, what if I fell off my boat and the boat was in gear? And
in 2022, fisherman Scott Thompson was lucky to be alive after falling overboard from his boat in the middle of the night in Ventura, California.
And then I looked up at the sky, I'm like, really? Really? This is how I'm gonna die?
Scott knew right away he wouldn't be able to catch his boat, which was in gear and quickly drifting away. But he's an experienced mariner, so he knew exactly what to do. He knew he was using too much energy swimming upright, so he turned over on his back. At that moment, he saw the bright lights from this oil platform about 2 to 3 miles away. He swam over to it.
And I just had to keep telling myself, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do this. And then that's when it became not about me.
Images of his wife, 2 little girls, and older son popped into Scott's mind. He had to make it back to them, and that propelled Scott to keep swimming.
That was a lot of the drive, just thinking about oh my God, they're gonna grow up without me.
Scott made it to the platform, but developed hypothermia from his exposure to the cold water. It was 52 degrees that night.
It was even cold for me, and I was only in the water for 15 minutes. I could only imagine what he was going through that night.
Captain Carson Shevitz runs Towboat USA Ventura, the maritime rescue company that eventually recovered Scott's boat. He says it's incredible Scott survived the conditions, especially because he went overboard wearing shorts and a t-shirt. But there was something else motivating Scott to get to that platform, a harbor seal.
And they always pop their head out of the water and do you one of these?
He says one swam alongside him for a while, giving him hope and making him feel like he wasn't alone in the world.
But that's when I was like, wow, I'm actually getting closer to this thing. I'm gonna pull this off. And then he was gone.
Yeah, Coast Guard, we have an individual that came up on the platform.
I just looked up at the sky and I was like, God, will you please just take care of my family? And that's all I asked. And then the next thing I know, there I am at the oil derrick. And it's like, whoa.
Well, the boat sank. No bueno.
In 2024, a group of fishermen were in some trouble after their boat felled them in the Gulf of Mexico. Keeping them afloat were life jackets and 5 water coolers.
Love y'all.
Easton Barrett says he shot the video to make a final farewell to his mom, in case he didn't survive.
It was just a video to my mom and my loved ones, because I didn't know if we was going to get saved.
Stephen Moulding says they have no idea why their boat sank.
Everything was going great until the second it wasn't going great. Within 45 seconds, the boat was gone.
Completely
gone, underwater.
Les Trent has more.
Luckily, they had a special device, a personal beacon that alerts the Coast Guard in the event of an emergency.
They treaded water and clung to their coolers for 4 hours. Finally, the Coast Guard arrived.
We made it on the boat. Never again. And overboard.
In 2015, Inside Edition producer Brianna Deutsch got life-saving tips from the U.S. Coast Guard.
Having the life jackets on board, it's a key requirement.
Officer Matt Vaughn says it's the law to have a life jacket for every person on board a boat.
Children under the age of 13 are required to wear them at all times.
If you're offshore, you should carry 3 nighttime flares and 3 daytime flares.
You're going to see that from quite a distance. That's an internationally recognized distress signal.
Strobe lights are another life-saving tool.
When you're in the water, you want to have it up at the highest point of your person so that whether it's an aircraft or a boat that comes by, they'd actually see it.
If you carry a whistle, the noise can alert others to your whereabouts. So can this digital life-saving tool, a locating device called an EPIRB.
That's an EPIRB. If the vessel was to capsize or sink, that will float free and it'll basically signal to a satellite your location.
It's a runaway boat. 17-year-old was there to jump into action.
You may want to get out of the way. This wild video shows a dust devil blowing beach umbrellas into the air. It happened at the Blue Mountain Beach on Florida's Emerald Coast. There was lots of screaming, but thankfully no one was hurt. Officials are pushing for new guidelines for umbrella manufacturers to ensure they can withstand winds of up to 30 miles per hour.
When the train goes by, it's like there's that life ruiner, the one who took all my bees, wakes me up out of my sleep. It's in my nightmares. I have nightmares about the train.
An Ohio family is struggling to survive after losing everything to a toxic derailment that contaminated their small town.
Tonight, the scene is still active and dangerous.
You need to leave. You just need to leave. This is a matter of life and death.
And to give you some perspective, the plume of smoke could be seen on radar.
On February 3rd, 2023, an environmental disaster began with the crash of a freight train in tiny East Palestine, carrying tons of highly toxic chemicals.
It was around 9 at night. A basketball game at the school had just finished up, and that was when it happened.
A Norfolk Southern train carrying toxic chemicals derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, and crews decided to vent and burn the carcinogen vinyl chloride to avoid what the rail operator warned could be a catastrophic explosion.
All we could kind of see was like a glow in the distance.
Hazardous chemicals, including highly toxic and flammable vinyl chloride, which is known to cause cancer, spewed from the crippled cars. Smoke billowed, and residents were ordered to stay inside.
We weren't feeling very well, and we were supposed to be sheltering in place. So we went to bed because my husband had to work in the morning. We woke up, my husband got ready for work, even though he wasn't feeling well. He felt like he was getting a cold, so he took some Dayquil and just kept going. That's the kind of guy he is. When we woke up, my son and I, we were feeling bad too. So we just assumed that we were all coming down with something. The smell was just intense. There was visible smoke all over the road, all over the community. Oh my goodness, just every possible noxious type chemical smell that you could imagine. You could tell by smelling it that it wasn't something that was going to be a good idea to be breathing for long. My husband came back from work and we did our usual evening routine. I made dinner. We ate dinner together as a family. It was Sunday evening when we were told that they were concerned that the train was going to explode. And that was when we were told that we needed to evacuate.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine did not mince words.
You need to leave. You just need to leave. We're ordering you to leave. This is a matter of life and death.
The Todds fled.
So we just piled into the car and started driving away, and my parents said we could come.
They all felt sick from breathing nauseating fumes, but their 8-year-old son Warren was getting worse.
He really got sick. There was a visible cloud that we drove through. I had given him one of those thick velvety blankets, and I said, put that over your head. And I tried to drive as quickly as I could, and he started throwing up. He was barely able to be awake. We're so wiped out, just drained. We just didn't feel like it was worth it to try to go back. And it broke our hearts because everything we had was there in East Palestine.
The Todds are staying in Kentucky for now, moving their camper ever so often. Maura says about 50% of the townsfolk did go back because they had nowhere else to go.
They can't leave. They have family there, they have jobs there, they have businesses there, they have too much invested there.
The Todds made a video of their beloved neighborhood before their final exit.
I thought I wanted to do this today to show you guys what our little town of East Palestine is like. We got Warren in the back and Philip, and we're going to go on into town and I'm going to turn the camera around.
Here it is. This is our
where we live.
Yep. I just, we're sad that we don't live here anymore, but we don't feel comfortable enough. If you don't feel comfortable living here, you shouldn't have to, but you shouldn't have to give up everything just to live.
Morris says surviving an environmental disaster broke her heart and stole her trust.
I feel like none of us matter in East Palestine. Just a little bit of research that I did on the chemical industry. It made me feel as if I couldn't trust anything these people were telling me. That's what I learned. I cannot trust what people are telling me. But I really just want peace. I don't need like huge house or anything I just want peace.
Everyone knows that you can't park in front of a fire hydrant. Blocking access could be deadly in responding to a fire. But did this New York City firefighter go too far?
Fire burned through it.
The car is way too close to the hydrant, a clear violation. Now look, the firefighter breaks the windows. First the passenger side, then the driver's side. He then threads the fire hose through the car and attaches it to the hydrant. They were fighting a major 4-alarm blaze in the Bronx that destroyed multiple businesses. But did he have to break the windows? On social media, opinion is mixed. The owner deserves it. How dare they put other lives at risk by blocking access to the hydrant? But there was also this. I am a firefighter. That was 100% unnecessary. YouTube is loaded with cases where firefighters have no choice but to break car windows. But those cars were directly in front of the hydrants. In this case, could he have draped the hose over the hood of the car without impeding the flow of water? We showed the video to Nassau County, New York Fire Marshal Mike Utaro.
Time is of the essence with fires, and when there's a vehicle or any obstruction to a hydrant, they have to overcome that obstruction. I'm sure there's several different methodologies of what they could have done. They chose that method, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't second guess them.
So how close can you park to the fire hydrant without getting a ticket or having your windows smashed in? Your vehicle must be 15 feet from the hydrant. That is this far. As for the owner of the car, reports say he's racked up 33 fire hydrant violations in the last 2 years, totaling more than $9,000.
Perhaps this individual had it coming to them.
You may have seen that amazing footage of the kid who jumps from his jet ski onto an out-of-control speedboat. It happened when the man at the controls was knocked into the water. It was a scene straight out of a superhero movie. Les Trent spoke with the teen who made that daring leap.
It's a runaway boat. It happened on a jam-packed lake in New Hampshire. The situation was dangerous. The boat's pilot fell overboard. Fortunately, 17-year-old Brady Procon was there to jump into action. Literally. Look, he's riding on the back of that jet ski and makes a flying leap onto the runaway motorboat. Some are comparing him to 007 himself, James Bond. Look again. Brady lands on the boat hard, but quickly gets behind the wheel and turns down the throttle.
I was still very surprised that I landed on that boat, and I was just trying to steer the boat somewhere, and hearing all those people applaud, it felt really good.
Look, one false move and he could have jumped straight into the outboard motor.
It was pretty close. If I missed it, I definitely would have went right into that propeller.
Brady gives credit to his buddy Justin King, who bravely steered his jet ski to the runaway boat. When you saw Brady nail that landing, what did you think?
He did a heck of a job jumping in. He didn't second guess himself, and it just all worked out great.
I wouldn't call myself a hero because obviously I do believe anybody would have done that if they had the opportunity.
A hero, and humble too.
Freya the lion cub may seem over it, but she's just arrived at her new home in South Africa. This 6-month-old was found in the illegal trade of wild animals in Lebanon. She was rescued before the possibility of a lifetime of abuse and maltreatment that so many other exotic animals endure. Freya will take a while to settle in at Drakenstein Lion Park, a sanctuary where big cats that were born in captivity have the chance to roam free across its 60 acres. For now, Freya is safely adjusting to her new environment behind a fence, but soon she'll join the other lions who are housed there. As an ethical sanctuary, Drakenstein will not participate in captive breeding programs or allow visitors to interact with the lions. Experts say Freya will never live in the wild. She simply hasn't been equipped for survival, but thankfully, she can live out her days at Drakenstein. Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
Amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.